everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast with Brian and Mitch. How we doing, Mitch?
I'm doing okay. It's I love this time of year. Weather's starting to change. Leaves are starting to change. Getting a little bit cooler. Definitely a big fan of this time of year.
We're talking some youth baseball here. We're going to be continuing our conversation. We started, ranking 13 U's. I went a little further here, as you can see.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that here in a moment. But first, I want to say that YBMcast is powered by Game 7 Baseball. Game7baseball.com. Register your team. I think there's maybe two fall tournaments left. I know they're playing again this weekend. Got some high school, got some youth teams in it. Good stuff. Check it out and make sure. I noticed they've got the spring tournaments up, some of the spring tournaments up already. So never too early to register your team for next year. They're starting it out. And we're going to have Dave and Dave on the show here for too long talking what's going on and that and whatnot. So Game7baseball.com. Love it. All right. Let's get into this, man. Let's get into this. It was cool last night. We were out at as we're recording this, it was last night. So out at PBR event was a lot of fun. GCS ballpark. So as we're talking about these things, because we're going to get into this, it's always the goal to reach that next level, right? And so as we were talking in our last show, we were talking about ranking 13U teams, right? So I figured, well, I might as well start with how many teams are there? And if we're going to, rank teams, well, then how many clubs are there? And I know I'm missing some here. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some independent teams that you see that aren't out. It's just some of the bigger names that you see in the area that are consistent with multiple teams in multiple age groups.
And I don't know if I've got all the clubs on here. Have I missed a couple from the area? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you have.
So,
but that's okay.
That's okay.
These are the ones that I think that have been around for a while or just kind of making some headway in the baseball community. So
if you would, folks, if you like what we're doing, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that dinger, because that's what we do around here. Hit dingers, because chicks dig the long ball.
They do.
Right? So make sure you do that. And also, give us a comment. That's where we want to go. Put your 2 cents in here. We'd love to hear from you. Right down below as we're talking here, put your comment in there. We'd love to hear from you. Because I'm sure we're missing a club. And if we miss a club here, please throw that in there. We'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely. I think it's cool to one of the things that you do on a regular basis is kind of acknowledge what's out there for this area, St. Charles, St. Louis County. Mm-hmm. And if we miss somebody and you have that kind of talent, let's see it. Let's bring it to the forefront so we could talk about it and get this on the list. And I think that's a great idea if you're one of those clubs or just an independent team.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too is we're just talking what we know of as far as probably St. Charles, St. Louis, South County areas. There may be some outliers, and we'll get to some of those around that. Like I know down south, Cape Girardeau, you got the Missouri Bulls. You have St. John River Dogs up north. I know there's some clubs. Central Missouri, we're going to talk about some of those, to Kansas City, to Springfield. So this is just the start.
Just the start. Yeah. That's what I want to hear is somebody that's in Hannibal, Missouri that has a 13U team.
Right.
And I know there's some good ball clubs up there because we have drawn some kids down to our neck of the woods for the tribe that have played up there that come from some quality teams that they're just looking for something else. Maybe that's more training, whatever the program might bring to the table. But there's some teams up there, Louisiana, Missouri, these real small towns that have that draw the best players of that age group, and the surrounding small towns of 300-400 people.
Exactly,
and there's some good kids there. They just don't get the recognition.
Legion ball is still big in some of those areas because that's where they've been driven, and we're going to talk a little slaba here too in this. So, Because some of these Slava teams are going into that 13, 14U territory as well, correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure as low as the 13 age group, but I believe they're trying to incorporate 14U this year for Slava. I'm not sure on the 13U.
I gotta give a shout out because I want to talk to Mike Buddha, because I know they were the St. Charles Capitals. They've gone and partnered with and now are part of Premier Baseball Academy. Are they still doing Slava?
From what I understand, they are having some of their group. Now, I have PBA works out of the hitting zone, and so I have talked to them a little bit, and I believe that they are still going to keep those teams that are built that way competing, from what I understand. But I'm not 100% sure.
Mike, throw us a comment, bro. Love to hear from you. Okay. Also, all right. So let's get into this. Let's start at the St. Louis's up there.
Lots of them.
The ones that have been around: St. Louis Prospects, St. Louis Pirates, St. Louis Gamers, St. Louis Naturals, St. Louis Redbirds, and then the newer one, St. Louis Bears, Floyd's group down there. But you look at those: St. Louis Prospects, Pirates, Gamers, Naturals, Redbirds. If we were ranking teams, and here's the other thing though, I don't see the St. Louis Pirates playing much around here. Maybe in the local area. Do you?
I don't. Coach Jamal is running our 13U team, and I try to stay up with what who he's playing, and he tries to participate at a AA, sometimes AAA level, and he has not seen them, or I haven't seen them on that list or in that tournament. So
that's a question mark right there, right?
Yep.
So Gamers. Now the Gamers, they're playing around here, and we'll see some of those teams. And, it depends on which. I think they have the two sides, though, don't they?
Yeah,
they have the academy, and then they have Gamers Baseball.
Yeah, and I'm starting to kind of get familiar with what the difference is between what, like the Gators, GBA versus, the regular teams, I guess, the prospects, scout teams and stuff like that. I'm starting to get used to it, because I guess they're starting to try to separate what is the AA, AAA level to maybe a major team. So I'm starting to see that.
Okay, so here's a great point as we're talking about this, and I think this is really where it scales to, right? And we're seeing these clubs do this a little bit more, because we don't want to. There is still recreational baseball. You can say what you want to, and there's still some recreational baseball in the clubs.
Yes.
Right? Do they want the kids to play in a club scenario, paying whatever the case may be? But then you have AA, AAA major. And this is where I think those numbers have to reflect, because back in the day, I remember it was you had Continental, American, and National. And you were ranked either Continental blue, white, or red, American blue, white, or red, and then National blue, white, and red. And that's been a minute.
I don't remember that. So you're going to have to.
That was, I know St. Peter's Athletic Club did it. I know some of the West County, Chesterfield, Baldwin, my nephew played. That was how you were kind of ranked in that, or set in the leagues in that way.
This is random here, but was it set like kind of how hockey is? Kind of right now,
maybe,
with the levels of, like, you have a 10U team, but you have a color that you actually
and the color made you how good you were.
Yeah.
I think blue was the top, wasn't it, son? I believe so. Blue was the top, red, then white, and that's the way it was. And then American was a step below National. So basically, you're talking about National was at the major level, AAA is American, and then AA.
So I guess Chesterfield tries to still incorporate that in their leagues.
I think so.
That they have for
I think
summer.
so. Yeah,
because you still see you see an American, you see a silver,
yes.
Whatever the colors may have changed,
gold,
whatever.
silver, platinum, whatever the case. So I think you're seeing some of this in the club scenario in this way, where you talk about a scout team, you have a national, a scout, a premier. You have these wording that's going, and then you get into major and whatnot. But a lot of those discussions, I think, are happening at the higher age levels, rather than still at 13, 14, you're talking about major, AAA, AA.
Right.
In those respects.
I would agree.
So, but St. Louis Naturals. Now the Naturals we saw, they have 3 teams at the 13U age group. The Rawlings Tigers had 6 at the 13U age level. Now all of them had 10 kids, but still, you're talking about 60 kids right there. Are all of those teams going to be a major team? I just don't think there's any possible way.
I wouldn't see that either, especially since some of these level of kids that are at the prospects and the gamers and things like that. I'm sure that they have some top level kids too. I'm sure that the Gators got some guys. I'm sure the Bandits has a team. There's some of these organizations that have been doing well for the last couple of years, including the Naturals too. It seems like every Naturals team we run into, they're usually, if you face their top team, it's pretty darn good. And so I couldn't imagine all 6 teams being competitive, the same level of competition, I guess, if you will.
And I would consider, so we're going to move on here, but as we're talking, you prospects, Pirates, gamers, Naturals, they've been around a while. They're a good group down in South County. St. Louis Redbirds. St. Louis Redbirds were one of the original Slava groups. As we said, the St. Louis Bears, Rawlings Tigers, Missouri Gators, GBA, Gators Baseball Academy, and then you have Missouri Gators. So it is a little different as you were talking. The Midland Bandits, part of the Midland baseball group that was started in Cincinnati, and they're part of a national group. Adidas Athletics, Nick Heron over there. It's been 5-6 years now. They've built and built. They're growing. Gas House Baseball, which works out of your St. Louis Sting and the Stallions from Slava, got together and formed Gas House. Recruits Baseball out of South County. Recruits have been around now, it's been 10 years or something like that. It's been a little bit now. Todd Stein.
Is that the same Recruits that moved to
they're out
Chesterfield now?
Chesterfield. They have the Chesterfield and they have the South County location. They still have 2. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Premier Baseball Academy, PBA, that's pretty recent. U.S. Elite was Jerry Daniels and the St. Louis Force. They kind of combined efforts down there because I think that's U.S. Elite now as St. Louis Force. Midwest Futures, they're starting to gain some recognition there. Your group, Tribe Baseball, Missouri Mariners, Missouri Redhawks. I'm not even going to go there. 314 Apaches. I think they still have some teams there. Midwest Rebels, Grind Baseball, Dave Matz.
Yep.
Man.
It's a lot of kids. It's a lot of 13-year-old kids.
So if you have 22 clubs right there, and we know there's other independents, we know there's still probably a few clubs we're missing. Like I said, hit that, give us a comment right there. Throw a comment down below there. Let us know if we're missing somebody here. I'm sure we are. No offense.
I see 38 teams there in that list, counting the teams that have multiple teams in that age group. And if you're just for simple math, 10 kids a team, it's 380 kids. And, that percentage of talent, I'm interested in what is considered the top talent with 380 kids.
Right.
And what are we really, what is the agenda we're really, really pushing? For our group, it becomes that we do offer, things like hitting lessons and strength and conditioning to all those athletes because we do believe in those things that all those players need that stuff. But man, it's 380 kids. What's the long term?
And we'll get into that because this is going to be in our next show. I want to focus here. How are we going to rank all these teams? What is that going to look like? Because we started off talking about ranking teams. And if we're just looking in St. Louis here, then we still haven't even got to Kansas City. We haven't got down to Southwest Missouri. We're still Central Missouri or Southeast Missouri. So, this becomes, and I think this is why rankings become a difficult proposition. We're just looking at one state.
Well, we're looking right now. We're just one area, really, right? So, and I think it's already difficult to look at, like, how do you rank these 22 teams? I feel like Game 7 might need to put on a regional tournament, no matter your skill set. And let's go ahead and we'll take, top 10 teams, move into a gold bracket. The next one's move into a silver. Next one's move into a bronze, and that's where you're at. That's where we can start building those.
Could be an interesting thing. I have thought about that. I'd love to see what we could do just with one age group. And I know they do their elite invitationals and whatnot, but I'd love to see something like that, because then you really start separating and putting things, and you can really see the talent level. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important, because if you're talking about recruiting and things of that nature and what the clubs present, which I'm all for in this way, because I think you have to develop kids. We were talking at that PBR event. I was talking with Coach Perkins, and we were talking about footwork, and we were talking about hands. I had Coach Funkhauser from Edwardsville High School on the show talking about the same thing. We had Coach Eddie Ushold from Missouri Baptist talking a lot about the same things, and footwork and mechanics and things like that. And I think these are the things that have gotten better.
Yeah, I think with training in general, just what's available to us, whether you look at YouTube or you start bringing, these physical science people kind of in, or, the exercise science people in, and they start training all these athletes. But you're seeing, because of social media, I think you're seeing the opportunities of growth in some of the kids. And so it is something I think we all would like to chase.
Right.
Growing up, for me, it was always just about running through the neighborhood, right? You played hockey, you played kickball, you would, try to jump over fences and things like that. That was our box jumps, I guess, nowadays. Our ladder drills was playing hockey in and out of people. There is a sports specific focus these days. But you are seeing growth, and you're starting to see it get younger too, because kids are wanting to get more athletic and more mobile, even at the 11, 12U age group, just because maybe the fear of missing out. I'm not sure, but some kids are seeking more.
Right.
And a lot of times I starting to see it change, is what are you offering inside your club? I think that's what the draw is, because you have, like what's going down at Legacy, they're bringing in some really big names, and with a lot of history and successful history. And so why wouldn't you want to train there? Plus, it's a really nice facility.
I know one team I left out, and I'm sure they're coming back 13U, is Missouri Sticks Independent. Mark Gerard.
I was thinking that earlier, but I wasn't sure because they've been around for a while. They've always had 3 or 4 teams throughout the age groups. Yep. I was not sure if they were still around. Yeah,
at the 13U. So I'm gonna start with this, and we're gonna do this, and this is what we're gonna finish up with the show here. Let's just look at a power ranking at this point. With just names at that situation here, right? When you're talking about, and folks, remember, throw your comment down there. We appreciate this. If you go, you're crazy, we want to hear about it.
It's just an opinion.
It is, but you know what? I'm not going to say that. And looking from some of the 12U in this area last year, I think you're going to look at the Naturals up there. I think you're going to have the Naturals. You're probably going to end up with one of those Rawlings Tigers teams, because I know Crickmeyer's team was pretty good last year.
Oh, yeah.
Rollo's team was pretty good last year.
Well, Rollo, I think anything that Rollo handles, I think he's always going to have a good club.
So you're looking at that. I'm interested to see what the Midland Bandits do with that. Recruits, their 13U going to 14U, I know is really good. I haven't seen much of the 12U going to the 13U, but I think they're usually pretty competitive. So I'm going to show in this area, I'm going to go recruits. I'm going to go Naturals, Tigers as part of the top 3 there. And power rank is just a start. What do you think?
I could see that Gamers team kind of being there, but I haven't seen enough of the Gamers or the Pirates to really give that kind of an answer, I guess you will, if you will. But the teams that you mentioned so far, I've been able to see, and they're good. They're just really fundamentally good. And I know Rallo, so I just know that anything he brings to the table, he's probably going to have a good squad.
Yep.
And they're going to be prepared, and they're going to be developed and trained. So I think you have that at every level. At least on this list that you have that you made for us, I actually feel like that top 10 is really the top 10 and almost kind of your power rankings. You can flip a few of those guys to the top, like that Tigers team should be top 3.
I think the most sticks has got to go into that top 10. Just independent. If they held all those kids, if they've got all those kids returning to that team.
It would be interesting to see that group. I haven't seen them play at a higher level tournament per se. I've seen them play in your O'Fallons, your Chesterfield kind of leagues and things like that. And I know that they always do well in them. I don't know what they are if they're going to go out and play against a competition of a weekend with the Gamers, the Prospects, the big clubs that we're all trying to chase.
So, I mean, that's just me, and that's where we're going to start, and we're going to start the conversation. Right?
Yeah. I'll be able to give you more feedback as we continue to grow because we're working through these things now. I coach high school softball, and so I miss most of the fall in seeing some of these teams advance into the the distances, the changes, and things like that in this sport. So I can really only speak on a couple of these that I get to see in house. So.
Right.
But knowing, because I, watching Game Changer and things like that, seeing what they're doing to our 13U team at the Tribe, it's like those are some really quality teams taking it to us.
And we're going to start putting these things up on our website, start kind of throwing stuff out, start the conversation, engage, and we're going to talk more about this in the weeks to come. We appreciate you joining with us. Again, remember, comment below. Give us your power rankings, and we're talking just the St. Louis area to start with here. We're going to engage in the other areas the more as we go along through the off season, set up for the next season, and we're going to have a lot of fun that way. Okay, and we're only dealing with Missouri right here, folks. I'd love to get broader Midwest, and we will as we move forward, but we're starting right here.
It's in our backyard, so if we don't know our backyard, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, how are we going to know somebody else's yard?
Right.
So, hey, everybody, remember, you like what we're doing. We love the support. We appreciate what you're supporting us, watching the show. Comment below, subscribe, hit that dinger because that's what we do. We hit dingers. You know the old saying. Or it's a newer saying, but the old saying is hit them where they ain't. We're going to get to that. You pitchers, keep throwing strikes. Mitch, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see you next time.